Hey, hi and welcome back. Now let's start with this video, which is Introduction to Eagle Control Panel. So after opening the Eagle software or after launching the Eagle software, this is basically the window which will open, which is called as Control Panel. Okay. So on this Control Panel, you can see there are actually different options. So I will walk you through the different options which are available on Control Panel. And I'm not going to introduce you to all the options which are actually present here. Okay. So at this moment, I'm just going to discuss only those options which are actually important. Okay. So the first one is files. And if I left click on this file, then if I hover on this new, and if I go to the schematic, then this particular window will actually open. And this is actually nothing but the schematic editor. And schematic editor is actually the place where we draw the schematic or where we create the circuit. Okay. So whatever circuit, whatever application you are building, we actually create the circuit or schematic for that application on this schematic editor. Okay. And this window is actually called as schematic editor. So I will close this one. After that, the next one is board. So this is basically the board editor. So after creating the schematic, we actually create the board or layout for that particular schematic. Okay. So actual PCB will be built on this layout editor. So again, I will close this one. But one thing that I want to tell you here is whenever we have to, create the layout, we don't, click on this particular file. First of all, we click on schematic. Here we complete the entire schematic or we complete the entire circuit. And once the circuit is completed, later we actually click on this option, which is actually going to generate the board file for this particular schematic. So I will click on this option. Now here this software is actually asking us whether you want to create the board file for the schematic that you have created. So if I click on yes, then this board editor or this layout editor will actually open. Okay. So that's basically the process. Once you are done with the schematic, later you have to click on this option and then this particular board file or layout editor, it will actually open. Okay. So this is how basically the process is. So I will close both the layout editor and schematic editor. So I hope that this point is now clear to you. So after creating the schematic, we actually create the board file for that particular schematic and we don't create the board file from here. Okay. After that, the next option is library. So I will click on this option now. So this is basically called as library editor. So whichever library, for example, let's say that there is one IC in your circuit, which is IC 555, and you want to create the library for that particular component. Library is actually nothing but combination of symbol, footprint, and the 3D model. Okay. So that actually contributes to the library. So whichever library you want to create, this is basically the editor where we create the library for that particular component. Let's consider that we want to create the library for IC 555 IC. Okay. So here we will actually create the symbol, then we will create the footprint. And if you want to create the 3D model for that particular IC, then we can actually create that here. Okay. So once we connect the symbol, footprint and the 3D model, then that library for IC 555 will be ready. Okay. So that's basically the process is. So whenever you have to create the library, you have to go to that particular option, which is the library option. Okay. And then we create the library. After that, the next option is a design block option. So this option is actually not that important and all these options are actually not that important. So at this moment, let's not discuss this option. Out of all these options, this ULP option is actually important and I'm going to discuss this ULP option at appropriate time in this training. So at this moment, I'm actually skipping this ULP option, but I will discuss this particular option at appropriate time. Okay. So at this moment, let's not discuss this option. After that, the next option is view option. There is actually nothing much to explain in this option. So let's go ahead and let's discuss this options. In this option, you can see there is actually one option which is directories. So in this option, you will see the locations for the different things like libraries, then design blocks, design rules, then cam jobs, project, etc. etc. So from here, you can actually set the locations for libraries, design blocks, design rules, script, etc. etc. So you can see here, if I click on browse, then this is basically the default location where all these folders for this libraries and all these stuffs are actually stored. Okay. So the location is C, user, system, documents, and Eagle. So this is actually going to be the default location, when you install the Eagle software. Okay. And at this location, you will see these different folders. So for example, let's say that you want to include a new library in this Eagle software. Then what you will do, you will straight away go to this particular folder, which is libraries folder, and you will paste that particular library here. Okay. So then that library will it will get integrated in the Eagle software, and you can use that library in the schematic editor and layout editor. Okay. So likewise here you will see the different folders for these all options, and all the information related to all these options like libraries, design files, design rules, ULP, scripts, projects, all the information related to these stuffs will be there in these folders. Okay. So many of the terms, like design blocks, design rules, scripts, all these terms will be new to you at this moment, but you don't need to bother about it. Gradually all these terms will get clear to you. Okay. So at this moment, I just wanted to tell you here that from here you can actually set the location for all these stuffs. Okay. But this is basically the default location, C, user, system, documents, and then Eagle. Okay. So I will close this one, and after that even this one. Then after that user interface. So this is actually something important. Again, in this user interface, this part is actually not that important. Most of the time you are going to deal with the layout, then schematic, okay, and this icon size. So what are these? I will explain you that now. So in order to explain this, let me open the schematic editor. So I will go to files, new, and then schematic editor. And here, if I go to the options, then I will click on user interface. And from this option, which is related to the schematic, from here, you can actually change the background of this screen. Okay. I generally prefer the black background. Okay. But if you want white background, then you can select this option. And after that, you can click on OK. So you can see right now we have the white background, but I generally prefer to use the black background. So I will select the black color here. Okay. And after that, I will click on OK. In the same way, you can do the same thing for the layout editor. So I will click on new, then schematic, and I will generate the board file or layout editor for this schematic. And here I will go to options, then user interface, and in layout, I will click on white, and after that, OK. So you can see this is how basically the white layout editor look like. But again, I generally use the black background. So I'm just going to select the black color here. Okay. And I will close this one and no, and again close this one. After that, there is actually one more option here, which is actually related to the icon size. So from here, you can change the icon size. So what you have to do in that case, first of all, you have to go to file, then new, and then schematic editor. Now in the schematic editor, you can see on the left hand side here, there are actually some tools. Okay. So if you want to increase the size of these icons, then you have to go to options, then user interface, and you can actually change the value here. Okay. So you can write 24, 25, whatever number you want, you can actually use the desired number, and you can set the size of all these tools. Okay. But I'm just going to keep the default option, which is 20. But if you want to increase the size of all these icons, then you can actually do that from here. So after that, I will click on cancel and then close this schematic editor. So that was all about the user interface option. Then the next one is proxy setting is actually not that important. Then the next one is data collection. So this Eagle software is actually going to collect some data. So I have no problem with that. So I'm just going to check all this box, and after that I will click on cancel. And then yeah, that's it. Now I want to tell you one important thing here. Right now we are actually using a free version of Eagle software. That's the reason free is written here. But if you are using the paid version or the professional version, then in that case, first of all, you have to click here on this arrow. Okay. And then you have to click on go online. Okay. Then one dialog box will actually appear here. and this dialog box actually helps you to log in inside this software. Okay, so if you already have the account, then you can straight away enter your email address and password, and then the login will actually successful. Okay, you will actually get OTP on your cell phone number, and after that you will be successfully you will be able to log in inside this software. Okay, and if you don't have the account on Autodesk, then you have to first of all create the account, and then you have to log in. And once you are logged in successfully, then you will be able to see the standard version or the professional version here. Okay, it will be written here. Alright, so that's what I wanted to tell in this video, and I hope that every single thing that we discussed is now clear to you. In this video, my purpose was just to discuss the basic things which are actually available on the control panel. Okay, and I have explained all those basic things, and I hope that every single thing discussed is now clear to you. Okay, alright, so that's what I wanted to tell in this video. Now I will see you in the next video, which is about Introduction to Schematic Editor Part 1. Okay, so I will see you in the next video now.